congrats. Obviously, I mean, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but we have a special set in honor of the bride. We love the movie. It's so good. I think we have eyeballs and, well, there's just a lot going on. And I could play with this all day. Okay, I'm gonna dive right in because we only have so much time, you know, and I loved it so much. But I heard, did this start from a tattoo, the whole idea? You saw a tattoo?
Yes, I saw a guy at a party with a tattoo on his entire forearm. I don't know if you even know this.
I don't think I do.
Of the face of the Bride of Frankenstein from the original 1935 movie.
Yeah, with the hair, everything.
Yeah, and I realized I'd never seen it, and I went back and watched the movie. And I don't know if you've seen it. Or
I have. Only later in life, my 9-year-old son is obsessed with old school films, like black and white.
Okay, so you know then that the Bride of Frankenstein is only in the movie The Bride of Frankenstein for 2 minutes.
Yes, it's not really about her.
No, and she doesn't speak one word.
Yeah.
Made me think, I want to know what that person's thinking.
Yeah.
That person who just got dug up from the ground and brought back to life to be somebody's wife who she's never met before. What's on her mind?
Yeah.
What's in her
Yeah. And like how many people are in her mind? Like that's the breaking point. I love just the rage, the violence. There's so many things I'm gonna dive into. But I have to ask you, first of all, well done. You did such a great job in it. I love it so much. I love like your character. I feel like, because I literally have had to watch all these films because not have to, but my son is obsessed with this whole like genre, like, you know, anything in that whole area, Dracula, like Wolfman, all those things. And so we've seen all of them. And usually the doctor is very cold and you are very curious and kind, and it comes from a different place, which I think is a female perspective of it, perhaps. But what made you want to do this film?
Well, I read it, and then Maggie and I spoke about it. I loved the complexity of it. I thought it was a completely original story, but essentially a romance, which I love about it. And when we actually got to do a read-through when we all got together to make the movie. And often with movies, you don't get to do that, but Maggie made sure that happened.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fascinating, because for me, when we did the read-through, I found it very moving. And so the core of the narrative was there. Now, the movie is, for those of you who will see it, I mean, it's a big movie. There's a lot of visual language. It's a specific world, gangsters, 30s, downtown, dark, interesting. And yet, at the middle of it is this kind of tenderness with these two wild-ass characters.
Yeah.
Then for Dr.
That are supposed to be monsters, but you fall in love with them.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think, in a way, if we're honest, that every single one of us has an aspect inside of us
For sure.
that's monstrous?
Yeah.
Or, you know,
I have an entire song called Dark Side. Yes, yes. Yes, everybody's got one. Everybody, and we both have children. It's a concept that's interesting to explain to a child too, because they'll go, is this person good or bad?
Right.
And I'm always like, ooh, that's a gray area. You know, and we're all capable of both. It's in us both. It's what's your choice gonna be?
Right,
you know?
and I think this movie it's almost like a dare to...
You're such a punk. I love it. Like, you're so cool.
Well, it's a dare to, like, sit down next to a stranger in a movie theater and let the monstrous aspects of yourself out.
Yeah.
It's like a celebration of the things that are inside all of us that don't fit inside of the box that we're all told it's supposed
Especially
to fit into.
women. Especially women, right?
Well, and the perspective of it too is like one of my favorite, I'm not gonna ruin it, but there's one of my favorite parts is, well, there's this whole like singing and dance sequence that's like incredibly artistic and cool and wild, and it makes you want to dance and move, and it's so well done. But after that, it's like this whole, it's almost like she's preaching at this moment, and she's at her breaking point.
Right.
You know, she's like, I can't, and all these things in her head, and she's been like stuffing it down for so long that it just explodes, and it's actually calling out the real monsters.
Right.
Because everybody's seeing them. It's the perspective of you see them as monsters, but let me show you who they really are.
Well, here's the thing: if we for most of our lives have tamped down all sorts of things that we really want to say.
Yeah.
When the dam breaks, it might break with a whole lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we've all had those moments.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I bet there are a few
Yeah.
people out there that relate to that.
Yeah. It's that moment too where you're like laughing and crying at the same time. You're like, I'm not sure where this next moment's gonna go. A lot of it is because we've been conditioned to just push it down and keep swimming. You
Yeah,
know?
and it
It's
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Okay, I called you a punk earlier because I feel like this is such a cool, only a cool punk kid could make this. But were you inspired by any like punk, like music for this? I feel like you had to have
I
been.
mean, there is some just regular straight punk in here. Like, for instance, Christian, when he first signed on, sent me this Sid Vicious video of him singing I Did It My Way. You know that
yeah,
song?
yeah.
It was great. And then he like takes out a gun and it's a wild punk little video.
Yeah.
But he sent me that. And so there were aspects of like 1980s just straight up punk. But to me, punk just means a celebration of not getting in your box.
Yeah.
You know? And
saying
so
what you mean.
you can
Yeah, I
have
feel.
any haircut and you can listen to any music and you can be punk.
Yeah.
You know? I definitely had some punk English teachers, by the way,
Yeah.
which is how I ended up here.
Yeah. Well done. Teachers are doing it, yes. So the wardrobe, I want to talk about the wardrobe as well. It's incredible. How did it help you? Because your hair, the glasses, everything kind of, I know.
The
Did you see it and
lipstick.
it just gets you into character?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And you know, the way that we talked about Dr. Euphroneous was Maggie had a whole way of giving me a backstory. And there's quite a bit of story that you learn about her. So she's not just this woman in this moment. She had a very passionate love life. And she has a story about her early scientific work and then when things shifted and how much her relationship impacted that because he was also a scientist. So I had all of this stuff that I got to work with that was deeper. But then in the moment, you can see Christian Bale, who's playing Frank, he's so tender, he's so attractive, he's so complex. And for Dr. Euphroneous, it was like the moment of a lifetime, getting to meet him, because she had studied him, and she's worked a lot in reinvigoration.
I love reinvigoration.
Yeah, you got to take this stuff very seriously.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just loved it. And there is a certain aspect, you know, when I was a kid, I played dress up, like most of us did, right? Except I really loved it. I remember really well. And how far I could get into dress up and how far I could convince myself. And it's kind of like becoming full circle for me in my work because this had that sense of play to it. It had this sense of just imagination and going for it. And, you know, also the sets, the costume. I mean, we have this brilliant costume designer, Sandy Powell, who she's the kind of costume designer, when you walk in, she basically hands you the character. And then we have amazing wigs and little teeth things and different things that we do that when you end up walking on the set, you really feel immersed.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lighting, everything was
amazing.
It was a collaboration. I was talking about this backstage, and I was like, it felt like a collaborative process of everybody who excels in their field.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
And being given the chance to do that, if I may say. Like, good on Warner Brothers for stepping up and backing Maggie and giving her the ability to make a big movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women don't get that chance.
Yeah.
And so to be able to really say,
And
okay,
a lot of
go for
leaders
it.
don't allow people to really just, manage the situation,
Sure.
but it looked like you would just let everybody shine in what they did.
Well, first of all, I was an actress for so many years where sometimes, I'm sure you've had this experience, in fact, mostly for me, you're actually fighting for just a little bit of real estate where you can express yourself. And I did not want to have a set where people were fighting for that real estate. I wanted to create freedom for all of these incredible people. Like, for instance, I was just going to say about her incredible wardrobe. Dr. Euphroneous is often in her pajamas. They are pajamas that everyone is going to want. Okay, they're amazing pajamas. But what the story that tells is that she jumped out of bed with an idea, had to go and write it down. You know, like it's just such a beautiful kind of storytelling.
Telling the story with the clothes as well.
No, I didn't imagine it that way. Sandy Powell and Annette brought that to me, and I recognized it as a great idea. You know, and that's a kind of a collaboration amongst people, maybe, you know, amongst women. I love it, you know. But look how beautifully it serves the movie.
Yeah. How do you feel the bride's anger kind of informed the character? By the way, well done. I am such a fan of Jessie's. Like,
Oh yeah.
I saw Hamnet and I was like, well, I will forever watch anything you're a part of. Like, she's incredible. Like, and just, I think just incredibly all in, which is what you need.
Right.
What is
but
needed.
then in this, in a way, she's almost like next generation somehow, next level. Like you've never seen anything like what she does here. Okay, I want to answer your previous question. I think a movie that is just about rage is a lot to take. I mean, just to say, this is like a roller coaster of an epic love story. That said, I don't know, I think it's incredible that this movie is coming out at this particular moment. There's a lot of things to be full of rage about. And maybe in particular if you're a woman, but also if you're anybody. And look at Frankenstein. Our Frank, I mean, the thing is like, everyone's talking about Bonnie and Clyde. It's, you know, it's that your husband has joined us here, whether he's here or not. Like both of these couples, Bonnie and Clyde, the bride and Frank, they're like, we're rooting for them. If only they could just be like left alone to love each other, you know, and root for what's good. And yet the world gets in their way, you know?
Also how powerful one voice can be, because it's like all these people in the film, all these women agreed and felt that, but didn't feel the confidence or didn't have the know-how to really, and it's like all of a sudden they see this one woman doing it, like, wait a minute.
Well,
me too.
She's like a kind of superhero, right? Yeah. She's braver than me. She's braver than anybody I know. She's brought back from the dead with white electrified hair, and she's got
dye from the. It's just
she's got like a kind of no filter, open channel thing that allows her to say things that none of us are saying.
Yeah,
you know, and then I do think the people around her are like, whoa, did you just say that out loud? Yeah. And I like your dress.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to go to this. So you've said that you love characters that kind of. They're written outside the margins. You're always attracted to this kind of character?
Well, I think so, and I think that for us women, that we were stuck in stereotypes for so long in many ways, certainly in the movies. And now, not only women, but men too, are writing characters that have much more complexity and contradictions. Contradictions is always like the best part. When you find something where it's this and that, it could, just like in our own lives, it's both.
Yeah.
So, when characters are written that way, then it's very attractive to me. And of course, the overall narrative, like I said, you know, we're hardwired for narrative, right? I don't know what it is. It's in our nature, whether it's a TV show or a movie or a book, that we need these stories. They somehow speak to us and allow us to become more alive. Like, I'm a huge consumer of all of these things. So being in it, it's the same passion. You just like channel it in a different way. So a lot of it is also the entire story. Even if it's a great character, if you're not within a great story, it doesn't, you know, it never really then launches.
Yeah.
So, and film is really a director's medium. And as an actor, that's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to serve and to put yourself out there for somebody. Eventually, they're the ones that have your performance. It's in their hands. They cut it together. They get rid of this, they take that. So it takes a certain amount of trust and surrender.
Certain amount, a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, when you feel that way about someone, then it's easy. Then it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go in and see what happens.
Yeah.
But you know, most of my life growing up, I never saw a movie directed by a woman ever. And so if you were a woman who was a storyteller and loved a narrative and loved movies, you became an actress. And I think of you always as an actress who infuses into everything that you do that contradiction. Like, I'm thinking of The Grifters is the hardcore version of that. She should be this person, and she's not. She's this combination of all of these complicated people. I mean, that's just one example, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've always brought that to everything.
Maggie and Annette have been in dozens of memorable movies that we love and adore. But which of those roles and movies stuck out the most for them, and for what reasons? It's time to find out. This is Celebrity Superlatives.
Celebrity Superlatives.
It's just, I just imagine y'all with wine at night figuring out what these jingles shall be. It's amazing. Well done. Our first superlative is hardest prep you've ever done for a role. What was that for each of you, like, that you to really dive into?
Oh, well, I guess I would say the one that came to mind, without thinking too much, was a movie that I did called Naiad, where I played a long-distance swimmer. So I had to basically learn to swim. I mean, it was a joy. It was a joy to do. I loved it, and I fell in love with swimming, so I still swim.
Yeah.
The greatest. But that was intense.
That's just physically so demanding. What about for you?
I did a movie a long time ago called Cherry Baby, where I played a woman who had just gotten out of prison. I spent a lot of time with women who were in prison. I was, I don't know, 22, 23, and I met women my age who were in prison. I went to a prison on the side of the West Side Highway, 21st Street and the West Side Highway. I mean, I would walk by there, drive by there all the time. I didn't even know it was there. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Up next is scariest scene to shoot. Ooh, for both of y'all, what was the scariest? Was it like a stunt or anything you did? Or what was the scariest?
One of the things I thought of was an emotional scene. It's in a movie called American Beauty, and
yeah, I've heard of it.
There was a scene. There was a scene where I'm alone, and I'm a real estate agent, and I'm very frustrated. And so it's a moment alone. It's a private moment, and I'm crying and screaming and slapping myself in the face. And I had thought a lot about the scene, obviously, when I saw it, and I knew it was a great moment. I knew it could be, you know, I knew that the potential was there. And we shot it, and I was very nervous about doing it, all right? So I remember preparing, thinking, doing, okay, good, I'm done, I did it, whoosh, done. And then I found a couple weeks later on the call sheet, the scene was there again.
Oh.
And I called and I said, what happened? And they said, oh, we shot it, but it was too dark. We couldn't see you.
God.
So then I had to do it again. So then that was actually a great lesson. Of course, in the theater, you do it all the time, you know, 8 times a week.
Right.
But in movies, when you're done with something, you sort of move on. So that was a scary moment. And there was a genius cinematographer named Conrad Hall who won the Academy Award a couple times, and for that film, I think he won for that movie. And he's this very, very, talk about empathic. He was a very empathetic person, and he helped me. But that was scary. That was scary.
Studio, you do like this vocal take that you're like, damn straight. You're
Right.
like, you know what? I forgot to press record. Right. And you're like, what?
That happens to us all the time.
And then you're like, don't be a baby, you can do it again.
Yeah,
if you did it once, you can do it again.
Get rid of the idea of like perfection. Let it be something
for sure,
else. Throw away the old thing.
Yeah.
Just like let it be something
Once
different
again,
than
you're
what-
so punk, you're so cool. You're so cool. What about for you? What's the scariest?
For me, the scariest scene that comes to mind is, and you'll know what I mean, and all of you will know after this weekend when you go see The Bride, the ballroom scene.
Yeah.
There's a
Why
big.
was that scary?
Well, it's a big sequence with,
Okay.
as you say, there's a dance number, there's a major, like, important, big acting moment for Jessie, 200, 300 extras, many, many plots, sort of points that must be hit in order for the story to be told. So directorially, that's really on me, you know? And, you know, we were talking before about terror. That was a moment, I think, for many people, for the people who had to dance for the first time, for Jessie, who had to do that incredible speech you were talking about for the first time, for the cinematographer who was running 3 cameras, for all of us, it was a moment of real vulnerability, stepping into something new, speaking in a language, I think, that is new.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of precedent for cinematically, you know, like, so I was scared, you know.
It was so good. Okay, that was, I think we only got to 2, sorry. I love them. Okay, that was Celebrity Superlatives, a couple. Everybody give it up for Maggie Gyllenhaal and Annette Bening, y'all.